Shout out to the homie Sean Harris. Thank you for the $50. Jim Dandy. I'm going to go get some with that $50 and I'm going to eat it on this stream, my boy. Appreciate you for that, Sean. Much love. I'm glad you at the lunch table. Shout out to Mark Gears, big supporter of No Ceiling, somebody who's always encouraged me in podding from the first time I start podding. I really appreciate you, Mark. I know, we don't talk about it, but I've always saw your tweets. We've always dialogue on social media. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that $5 and all the supports through these 4 seasons and whatever else you supported in my career that I don't know. Shout out to everybody who has supported everything, in my career. And Mark Gear, $5. I'm glad you and Snoop sat dude down about what he said about the fires. Yeah, that was just
that was crazy. That was crazy.
He just wasn't thinking
at all. At all, man. So let's get to it, man. What's happening?
So yeah, great point. So I always see your tweet, Squishy. What's crazy is I always see your tweets, Squishy. Squishy said, I don't see her tweets, you see mine. I don't know how I miss your tweets, but I bet you I won't miss them now. I followed you and I have you on selective. So whenever you tweet, I see it. So don't do that. But the point I'm saying is somebody like Ak could be really popular. Ak is really popular. We talking about tens of thousands of followers, if not hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yes.
For sure, tens of thousands of followers. People that follow all his content, that follow his streams, that follow all of these things. Like he is extremely rich when it comes to social currency. Like that means people talking about Ak demands polarity. It demands attention, right? It demands, whether you like it or not, he's a very polarizing person in today's space. When it comes to social media and different people talking about hip hop. He is socially rich when it comes to currency. His name will generate a level of polarity. Like you're going to get polar opposite opinions, you know what I'm saying? And that is great. And again, it's somewhere, if it's not tens of thousands, it's hundreds of thousands of people. His streams could do 100,000, 200,000, right? That's how popular, that's how rich he is in social currency. The difference with Glasses Malone, while I'm not as famous or as popular as Ak, when it comes to this thing called cultural cachet, right, the ability, and shout out to the homie that's from Twitter. His name ain't popping up. It's just a period. Some reason for this year, the word culture is offensive. Even last year, culture is offensive. And I get why, because the person you enjoy the most in rap, you know what I'm saying, you're being told this person is not of said culture. So I know that's an offensive thing and I know that bothers you, but he's not. And I get why, you know what I'm saying? So this is why somebody like Glasses Malone, right, who has 100,000 followers, and a couple $100,000 can talk to a person like Drake that has a couple $1 million, tens, 20, maybe $100 million. But when I say something, it's just as effective and it's just as powerful. Because what I have is dense and potent. It's different. It's one thing when you're talking about a thin level of broth versus somebody that's like the chicken itself. It's just a level. And I think that's why y'all don't understand why certain words or certain people can go further. Like they may not be that popular, like a Lord Jamar, right? He has cultural cachet. He is wealthy in culture. And because this whole hip hop premise is built off culture, you feel me? The things that we say mean the most, and the more things we reveal become even just as big. So that's why somebody like Ak would have to talk, or he finds a reverence to even speak on me or speak my name. Because it's like Glasses, while he's not as popular as Akademiks, on the social media front, is dense in cultural cachet.
I agree.
When it comes to this thing, it's just different. You're going to talk to me. I'm going to know a lot more. You know what I mean? People going to respect my name. It's just going to be different. That's just how it is, because I have done what I needed to do to experience this existence and live my life. And that's everything in hip hop. A lot of people, there are some people in hip hop who really feel like money is what makes somebody oh, that person is rich. It don't. It don't.
Never did.
Never
Never
has.
did, man. Never has. You could be the popular. You could be, you know what I'm saying? You could drench yourself in popularity right there. But when it comes to being authentic and being about, you know what I'm saying, what hip hop is, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't, you ain't got to be the most popular person or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to carry that right there. So, but you have to, but in order to be that, you have to carry the culture though, man. You have to know what it is though, too. And that shit's similar to like I think like a ball player, you know what I'm saying? Like when you got inside that shit, then you got that, you know what I'm saying, the inside that NBA. So when you got Shaq and Barkley sitting there talking they shit, you gonna look at them expert opinions right there. A little bit more than you're gonna look at, you know what I'm saying, the way Skip and I'm gonna talk about the shit though, you know what I'm saying? That's just because of the way the shit go though. Word. But
Google
it ain't in that phone.
defines cultural cachet is a term that describes the prestige or quality of something cultural.
Mm-hmm.
It can also refer to the approval or admiration that people have for something or someone. But really, the prestige or quality of something cultural. Like I've been making these new forms of records. I've been telling Trap about now how I'm gonna start releasing them really soon, probably in the next 21 days. I call it prestigious hip hop. Like the thought of expensive came to my mind, the thought of highbrow came to my mind, but honestly, I don't think hip hop can be lowbrow or highbrow. I always tell you, I don't think hip hop can be low vibration or high vibrational because you cover all parts of. I know, but I think it shouldn't because cultural. That's like imagine calling soul food, low vibrational food.
You know what I'm
saying?
You won't call it. I get what you're saying, but you can say some soul food is good for you. You know what I'm saying? And some soul food is gonna be what you mean? All soul food good for you?
Is probably good for you.
No soul food is good for you.
No, because it's remember if you think about it, right? It's food that's kind of make and do. You know what I mean?
So you're saying about you believe in like we was given the scraps and made something out of the scraps, like that.
Yeah, that's why I always say I don't say soul food is black culture as much as it's American slave culture.
Yeah,
and it just happened to be 99.9% of American slaves were black people. But again, every black person wasn't eating that. But I read this book by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live, and he pretty much trashes all soul food. You know what I mean? Greens, how raggedy they are. And if you think about it, it's true. I mean, like, why would you have to cook a vegetable for hours to make it tender? That's just crazy. You know what I mean? If you tried to cook spinach for hours, it'd be mush. You know what I mean? If you try to cook any of that stuff for hours, it'd be mush. So again, I don't like the term lowbrow or highbrow hip hop. And I think it does a disservice to somebody that is not necessarily prolific in English, the English language, or English tricks, from dialogue speaking like wit or not wit, but similes and metaphors. It's like how we always talk about with Tupac, where people don't understand what make Tupac a great writer is because he understood the cultural cachet of the things he was talking about. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's like people thinking hip hop is just rap lyrics. Like, oh, he raps good. And it's like, yeah, that don't matter. Like, I'm sure if Donald Trump sat down, Donald Trump could probably strike a decent 16, but I just don't know if I would jump off the cliff and make him hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Pac came with I believe in the low vibration, high vibration when it comes to music though, and I would say like Pac he double dabbled in both. I feel like, but I hear what you're saying though within it though. You know what I'm saying?
As far as when we start talking about how other artists really play into the English language, the technique of punchlines, similes, metaphors. There are some hip hop artists that really root themselves in that part of it. Right? I mean, that is their
that's what my appreciation goes to right there.
Huh?
That's what my appreciation goes to. Motherfuckers who do that like that. Yeah,
that's their pride and joy. Cannabis. That's cannabis, pride and joy. You know what I mean? Like, But then again, you take somebody like Tupac who understands the street urban cultural experience that most of the youth was going through, right? And then they actually say it in the words using the correct dialogue to get the message across. And it's just as powerful, if not more powerful, than things that cannabis is saying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I when I was working on this style of records, I wouldn't call it lowbrow or highbrow because it's doing a disservice to what street urban culture is all. If you, long as you convey this level of street urban culture, you know what I mean? Because even how we talk to each other, Trap, sometimes we don't gotta be, we ain't in the 16 pages of the dictionary. It could be, we could have a conversation using about 12 words, and the conversation is valuable.
Yeah.
Now, it is unique if I start using a lot more colors to paint the picture, but you got to also appreciate the painting. They got 3 colors. It might be rich. It might be dense. It's the difference between like we was talking about it the other day, Gucci Mane and Killer Mike. Both of them convey Southern street urban culture. One does it with a different level of dialect, English dialect and technical tricks. The other one do it with a lot more feel. You know what I mean? Feel, extra on enunciation. Shout out to Squishy. Like Ludacris is a really underrated master, of words when it comes to the English language, including the cultural feel of it all. Versus somebody like Tip, that it's the feel. Like, he is nice, his wit is nice, his punchlines is decent. He's a more than proficient MC, but his feel as a Southern street urban act is unrivaled. And that's why at one time we were all comfortable with referencing him as the king of the South. Well, Lil Wayne is in the space.